So we've gone through making some charts in Google Sheets, and today we will create some charts from our two restaurant spreadsheets. So we'll start with the income statement. What I want to show you today is how to select data from your spreadsheet to use in a chart when we don't want to use all of the data that's available in the spreadsheet. So I want to do just a quick expenses pie chart in my income statement. And to begin, since I only want this data to be represented in my chart, I'm only going to select that before I say insert and chart. And it does come up with a pie chart right away. If it didn't do that for me, I could choose a pie chart from this list here, or a column chart, or any other one. So you'll notice that since I selected both the wages and the numbers, it automatically puts in those labels for me that I have selected. If I didn't have that, I could click on this button here for my label and go out and select those. Let's customize our chart by putting in a chart title, and we'll call this expenses. And you can go around and look at the different ways that you can customize your pie chart. Thinking about the different ways that you can label it. You can change and add these values onto the labels and change your colors. So you can spend a little bit of time looking at the different way that you can set up the different pieces of your pie chart. Okay, so we'll slide that off to the side and now go into our payroll register. So there's a lot of data in our payroll register. So we're going to create a couple charts from here. The first chart I want to make is just a column chart based on my payroll deductions. And so I will start here in federal tax. Make that a little bit bigger so you can see that. I'm going to select federal tax through Medicare. So I have these items selected. So I'm just going to make a chart on this data. Let's go up to insert chart, and there's a column chart that comes up. You want to make sure that your legend is showing up the way that you want that to be there. If that does not show up that way, you might have to check a box in here that says use row 2 as your headers if that's not showing up for you there. It's asking me if I want to use column F as my labels, and really what I want to do is I want to come in here and I don't have anything on my x-axis. So pull your chart down a little bit here, and we want to add an x-axis. So if we click on this box here, it says select a data range. I want to go out and include the title employee and click all the way through your employee names. Now you may only have 4, so it will end in A6, and that's just fine. You'll notice now that my employees show down at the bottom. With my data set up, let's do some customization here. Let's go into my title and let's call this payroll deductions. And you can play around with where that's located in the size. Under our series, let's add some data labels. Let's move the legend over to the right. I'd like to see that go over on the right hand side. See that a little bit differently there. And let's go back up to titles and add for our horizontal axis title, let's put employees. So that looks pretty good. You can customize a little bit more if you'd like, but that's a pretty good chart for our payroll deductions. I'm going to move that over to the right. I also want to create one that's a chart that's based on my employees' comparison between how much they're taking home in gross pay to their total deductions and net pay. And I'm going to do that with a column chart, but I want it to be stacked. So I'm going to begin by highlighting gross pay all the way down through the last number in gross pay, and we're going to insert a new chart. And I get just a standard column chart that comes up here. Now what happens if I want to add more data? Well, over here we added the x-axis range, and I can do that again, selecting from employee all the way down. But now I want other data, and since my data isn't connected, I can't just select it all at once, and that is where I want to come over to adding a series. So I'm going to come here and select add series, and this time I want, let's move these items out of the way, I want my total deductions to be my next series. Select it including the word total and click on OK, and add one more. So we'll add net pay, and I'll select net pay all the way down and click on OK. So I'm going to bring my chart back to where you can see it. Now here it doesn't really have the right legend, so let's come down and let's uncheck use row 2, and let's check that again, and now that's fixed. That looks good. Gross pay isn't really the title I want. I'm going to double click on it there. I'm going to say gross pay deductions and net pay. Let's go back over to setup, and I'm going to go to where it says stacking, and I want to change that to standard. You can see that now stacks those up. I think it's a lot easier to see the comparison between the amounts when I stack them. If I was to choose 100%, it would make those a percentage. Okay, but I like the standard, looks good for this. And let's go over to customize and series and add data labels. That's looking pretty good. I still need an x-axis title, so back up to titles and choose horizontal axis title, and let's put in employees again. So that gives you an idea of how to select data and add data into a chart. If you have time, try and make your own chart from your payroll register or income statement. Good luck.